Okay, so back to Close Encounters, and firstly, shout out to my buddy Nick Greenan, shout out, who says that he is enjoying these videos and I should keep doing them. So this one is for you, brother. So first thing first is, this is my first Roto target I've ever had to work on. And here's a word of advice. If you're using Dremel with wire brush to clean rivets, try not to catch the wire, very thin wire, and yoink it off of the finger and have the little finger fall out the bottom with the spring and disappear on the floor somewhere, and then have to resolder the finger back to the wire and rethread the wire insulation back onto the wire, which also came off. So fun with Roto targets, but it's cleaning up. I was trying to polish up the metals and stuff, like, you know, along the sides. I Dremeled the edges and tops of everything, but it's still not perfect. Magic eraser the faces of the targets. It's better than it was, and it's a start. So I didn't really know this Roto target was not registering hits. So I called upon my buddy Corey Cook, who had actually worked on 3 of these Close Encounter Roto targets in the last couple months. So he is the right person to ask. So this thing here, this is the Roto target. There's all the rivets for the top side, and it was being pretty sticky. So Corey's advice was to make sure there's enough play in this bad boy here, and, you know, try and clean up the axle, because this is the advance and there is the resting position. Advance, rest. Mine was not coming to a rest. I would advance and then it would just get stuck, and then you'd have to force it back down with your finger. So that was obviously a problem. So I got that all cleaned up, and I think when I put that back together again and align all the fingers to the rivets when I assemble it, that thing should be working as it should, hopefully. So that's my first experience with working on a Gottlieb Roto target, and it is slightly a bit of a pain in the butt, but I think if I put it back together again and it actually works, I will be happy. Then I did a refurbishment of the flippers. Nothing too fancy. I took everything apart, installed new coil sleeves, cleaned and adjusted the end of stroke switches. The springs had the return springs have good tension, so I think these will be nice and snappy. I mean, compared to these old coil sleeves, I've seen many very bad condition. These are probably in the top 5 of worst condition I've ever seen for coil sleeves. You can't get much worse than that. Those are probably 40 years old original coil sleeves. No longer. We got fresh ones in there. And what else have we been working on? Let's see. I guess pretty much the last major electrical thing that I've been working on. Let me close this playfield one memento. Put you on pinball magic. Uh-oh. Try not to smash anything or catch any wires here. Okay. So the last major success I had So there's the spoiler, is the displays. Remember in the last video, I was missing a digit here, and then I was missing like 3 digits on players 2 and 4. I mean, I've assumed it was both of these are display connectors. I was assuming it was something to do with those. So pulled up the old pin wiki, and it basically says that you're either going to have a digit issue where you're missing digits, or you're going to have a segment issue where you're missing segments of digits. And if so, these are the pins on the connector that are responsible. So I have digit problems, and you can see that on players 1 and 3 I was missing digit like 6. So they're tied together. So for player 1 and 3 issue, I decided to repin these guys here. This is the one connector on the far right, A1, J3, and I repinned pin 6, 7, 8, and 9. When I was removing the old pins, they didn't look too bad. They weren't corroded, so I thought my efforts might have been futile. But I plugged it back in, and boom, players 1 and 3 were working as they should. So that was a bonus. So then for players 2 and 4, I was missing like, 2 or 3 digits each. So I decided to do the pins 10, 11, 12, and 13, which I did. And even a couple pins, as I removed them, a couple little pieces came off. So I don't know if I broke them when I was trying to remove them, or they were broken in the housing. So I replaced those 4 pins. So pretty much, I think this is pin 1, 2, yeah. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like most of these. Oh, and also the credit display was missing its last digit too. So that is called the status display. And how did I determine which pins to do on that one? Oh, I know what I did. I decided to do all 4. 21, 20, 15, and 14, because I didn't want to keep taking on and off that connector, because it's getting tougher and tougher to put on once the pins are, newer and newer across the whole connector. And I said I'm just going to change all 4 of them, put it on, and hopefully never have to take it off again. And so I did that. Obviously I gave you the spoiler, but let's power it on. Close this up. There's the 349. I'm not really sure what that represents. Some NIWUMP code, but look at that. Every single digit now works. The blue is starting to grow on me. I think I can live with that. And pretty much the last thing I did is I think I have every light bulb now working on the machine. When you start the game, you only get a couple lights on, and then I had to, the back box has got those flashy bulbs. Well, those are, what are they, number 455s? They're like, I'll show you what they look like if you don't already know. They're these little guys. I believe they're 455s. Where's my box? Right here? Is that it? No. Wrong container. Here. This. Little green box here. What does that say? I believe that says 455. It's just on there very vaguely. Yep. So anyway, there was about 4 or 5 of those in the back box, and they're just scattered around randomly. And I've concluded and determined that they're only supposed to be in the windows of the flying saucer. So I've got them where they should be. They were all burnt out too. And I've got all the back box lights now working. And look, we can see behind the Roto target. I didn't really know what that looks like. Oh, okay. Interesting. Ooh. Well, so it's basically 3 points of contact. One for each insert, obviously. And they just are stationary. Okay, well, that's cool. But that is where I am at. The next thing I have to do is kind of the easy stuff. Take everything off the play field, clean it up, change these 40-year-old rubbers. And that'll be getting pretty close to the finish line. So probably do a part 3. So stay tuned. Talk to you later.